Oh, well. God damn it. Try that again. Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
Hello,
Tyler.
everybody, and welcome to
This
episode
week has been
577
interesting,
of the DrunkNerds
but at the same
podcast. I'm
time,
host as always.
it's
I'm Tyler, and
kind of
joining me we have the man,
reawakened
the myth, the legend
what I've
himself, Sir
had lied dormant in
Colonel
quite a long while, and
Gable.
that's
What's up,
retro
buddy?
game collecting. Nah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm fairly careful with that type of shit. But anyway.
They're gonna say herpes.
uh, but anyways, yeah, man, this week has been pretty cool. I mean, the work
Only
week has been
shares,
busy as
only shares
always, but at
needles
the
with his
same
friends.
time, I
That's
most
smart.
recently bought a Sega Dreamcast off of eBay. I did do my due diligence, checked out people's ratings, checked out the conditioning of the system before I initially ended up buying it. Ended up getting it in the mail today, so it took about a week to get from Georgia all the way up here into Washington State. Yeah. uh,
The country, Georgia,
oh boy. But anyways, finally got it.
not the
It's up
state,
and
the
going
country.
and stuff. I was kind of concerned because when I unpackaged it, they didn't package the disc individually inside of a case. They left it in the game system. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? I mean, literally, what the fuck? You'd sell a game. It's like you're a business. Why is it if you're selling something online, especially if it's something that someone's paid close to near $150 for, and that's almost the amount that I did end up paying for that system in the game and everything else that came with it. Why the hell don't you do the due diligence of putting the game in a damn case? At least give it some form of stuff. But
Did you pay that much
well,
in Georgia
I think I paid
currency?
it
I don't
more
know
or less in
what
Georgia
the
Peaches,
money is
but
called there,
still.
or in American.
But
Okay,
thankfully,
well, there you go. So that's like
I
12
looked at the
peaches.
disc. The disc didn't look too scratched up or anything, and so I plugged it. I set it inside the case. Turn on the Dreamcast. Dreamcast works fine. It definitely has issues with the system CMOS stuff to where it won't remember the dates or anything because the batteries are old. Old batteries are old. So that's not. Oh God, the batteries that are like from
Boomer
1999.
batteries.
But anyways, that's not too much of an issue. I mean, as long as the memory card stuff, the VMU stuff is fine in regards to the CMOS stuff, that should be fine. And that's the thing. Even if they're not working, the system still works as intended. The memory card still works as intended. Because what I ended up getting from this thing was a complete Sega Dreamcast, all the plugs. I got two controllers, like one of which I'll be holding up to the camera right here. Because, yeah, that's one of the two controllers. I did get a VMU. I got two of these little trimmer packs, which that's what came before when they started just building in Rumble to the different controllers. And on top of that, I ended up getting a copy of Crazy Taxi for free. Though I guess what they mean by free is very loosely.
Stole
But
it.
oh god, who knows? But no, I'm not gonna accuse them of stealing some. They did sell
I'm
me as a
saying you
good.
stole it, Gables. I'm accusing
No,
you of stealing.
no, I'm not gonna steal anything like
We all
that.
we all we all know, Gables, about what you do
What?
when you're not podcasting.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Your thievery,
Oh, my
grand larceny.
thievery.
Yeah, grand
Oh,
larceny.
oh my god.
We've heard
What,
the
what's
tales of Colonel Gables.
What's funny is that's anything besides the case in real life. I mean, I'm the one that literally just go up to like say, "Hey, I accidentally I accidentally overpaid for this. Here, you can have this back."
Gables, I'm thinking your real name before you had to change it because your dark past was Gables Begno. I think you were French. I'm gonna say you were French. In the lore of Colonel Gables that I'm currently writing because I'm writing your autobiography. Um, that's what's gonna go down. That's your origin story.
My origin story is a master thief,
Yes, master of thievery.
a master French thief.
Yes.
Yeah,
Next week I want
master
you to have a
French.
pencil mustache.
Oh, maybe like a infamous like French Canadian, but still.
Hey. Oh yeah, no, that makes sense how you got away with it then, because the Canadians are so fucking nice, you know. That makes
Oh,
sense.
I will say that my dad would actually make fun of me and stuff like that because when I was a teenager and all of a sudden I had like my stubble growing in or something like that, it's like I had like my big old like black beanie cap or something on, and he just told me, "Yeah, what are you, French Canadian? Go ahead, shave."
Little dude, as everybody know that Gables' father was a retired Mountie, so.
I'm just laughing so hard at that because it's like you know about my dad and stuff like that
Yeah,
and all that other
yeah.
shit. But that would have been God that it's just actually that got me good. But other than that, man, I mean everything's just going pretty good and stuff. I played a little bit more of like F-Zero 99 and stuff and like other gaming stuff that we'll get into eventually. But how have you been doing, Tyler?
Doing all right, man. You know, clanging and banging as always. It's we're getting to the seasons changing Gables.
Hmm.
Um, woke up a little bit of a cold because of course, whenever the seasons change, I always get a little sick. So,
Yeah.
other than that, doing okay. Can't complain too much. It's getting nice out now. Well, it's getting colder out, which is nice to me. It's like getting in the 50s, which I just love this time of year. Gables, it's October now. We're officially in October. I'm so pumped about it.
No.
Favorite month of the year. Just love the leaves falling. Just pumpkin smells everywhere you go. Um, it's not super. It's not incredibly hot out, but it's not super cold out. It's beautiful. I
Hmm.
love that. I love October. I wish we can just have October weather all the time. If we can just have September and October and just repeat that for 12 months a year, that would solve some of my problems. So I don't know how well that would go for the rest of the world, but for me, selfishly, that'd be great.
Dude,
I'd be fine with it.
I'll just say one thing. The weather up here in Washington State has been so much like more warmer than usual over the past like few years and stuff that I literally went to my backyard this past week, looked out at the wall of my house outside and stuff. I'm like, because I was watering a bit of the flowers and stuff, and I see this thing on the. I was like, what the hell is this? I go in closer. There's a freaking huge praying mantis on the side of my house, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking to
see a
myself,
lot of those. Yeah.
well, that's the thing, Tyler. It's like in the Pacific Northwest, they are not native
Oh, okay.
inside. And so this caught me by surprise. Like, what the hell? It's like, this is not supposed to be here.
Well, I mean, you're fairly close to Utah, so maybe it's like a Mormon praying mantis or something.
Dude, you weren't near close to Utah.
Oh, you're closer than I am, so it makes more sense. Like maybe he took he went on the Mormon trail and got
Oh.
lost and he ended up in fucking Washington.
You know what's kind of
Happens to all of
hilarious?
us.
You know what's kind of hilarious is like I was talking with my boss about it and stuff, and she told me it's like because she's from the Texas area. It's like, yeah, you don't see them up here. They're usually in like the Southwest.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
fucking
but
weird.
it was just one of those cool things to where it's like it was just slinking about, just like crawling up the side of the house and stuff, and it was edging close to the screen door because I kept seeing this huge ass spider that it wanted to get going, and it's like, but yeah, it's just the fact that you're now enjoying like the 50-degree some odd weather and stuff.
Beautiful. Yeah,
This is like literally for us in the Pacific Northwest is going to be like the last major, like say, somewhat warm type of stuff before all
yeah,
the initial rain and all the other stuff is because that's what we're known for. Though we're known for like torrential rainfall.
yeah. In Nirvana. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's a reason why they call us the Evergreen State.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. And we're also Gables. More importantly, we are getting closer to my favorite day of the year. That's right, Extra Life people. If you are maybe listening to us for the first time or the 577th time, you'll know then that Gables and I every year participate in the Extra Life charity. People don't know what that is. It is a charity that we do that raises money for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Um, you could pick any hospital you want in the United States or Canada. You could participate anywhere in the world. We play games for 24 straight hours. People donate to us, friends, family, coworkers, whoever, and that money that we donate, 100% of that goes right to those charity, help those big beautiful kids out there. Yeah, so this is my 12th year. This is Gables' 11th year. We've been doing this for a long time. I actually, for video listeners, I got the Extra Life tattoo. So
Ah,
I got that 2017, I want to say. So when I got my, I hit $1,000 donated that year. So I've been doing that. Like I said, we've been doing that every year. So it's a big important deal to us. It's literally I call it my least favorite day of the year because
mm,
it's I look forward to it. It's my Christmas, but it's a rough day all around, and it's a rough even rougher the next couple days recovering and getting back on your on schedule and just trying to catch up. Which
That's
the
fairly
older,
true, dude.
yeah, and the older you get, the harder it gets to catch up. But it's still worth it, helping those kids out. And hey, if you are someone that likes that likes video games and like this sounds like something you might like, or people that might like this, please tell them about it. Extra-life.org. If you're watching on YouTube, we do have an overlay here for Extra Life. There is the website down below there. Just type that in, search for them, you'll find it. All the information there about it. They've raised over $100 million in its lifetime of doing. This is actually year 15 of them. Um, it's a great charity that's been going on for, like I said, for 15 years, and be great if you go out there and donate to people that you may know, or tell people about it. Just share it, tell people about it. It's a really great thing. If there's anybody you think that'd be interested in it, just go tell them. And like, hey, if you can create more people that are interested in doing that, please do that. And if you maybe want to donate to us, that'd be great. There are links down in the description below with to our pages. So I'm Tyler Courtney. That is Gabe Bagno. So please, go ahead and do that. Or if you're on the website, search for our names. There is a search bar up there. You can search for us and you can find us. And donate, share, tell your friends. More importantly, if it's like I said, if there's somebody that you think might like it or you might be interested yourself, even better, because that will create more awareness of this charity and more people will find out, more people that will participate, the more money raised to help those big beautiful kids out there in the hospital that really really could use our help. So let's do that. But yeah. Well, so we'll be talking about that more over the next month or so as we get closer. So I gotta come up with a plan what the hell I'm gonna be doing for that
Oh,
thing.
dude. I'm in the same boat as you do. You too. I mean, it's like last year, I know when I tried to do my initial Extra Life thing, it was like in the middle of a damn windstorm, and I did not get started until like around 7 or 8 o'clock that
That's
morning.
right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
I had to go forth and say, hey, I got to sacrifice some hours here so that way I could start my thing just right and stuff. So like 8 o'clock in the morning to another 8 in the
yeah.
morning. That was not fun.
No, no. Gable started doing a thing like 3 or 4 years ago where he starts to like midnight, 2 o'clock in
Yeah,
the morning, and I started doing that I think 2 years ago. And oh my God, it's brilliant. Especially like I said, we're
dude,
older now. It's
it
a lot harder
is.
to do it. I mean, it was a lot easier when we were doing this in our 20s. Now that we're in our mid 30s, it's a lot harder to do. So and like I said, the recovery is a lot harder. So yeah, doing that was a smart idea. Makes it. I mean, kind of hard because
Think of
like
it. Just think
go
of
ahead.
this way, Tyler. It's like if if you're doing like a 24-hour stream, like a 24-hour like Extra Life marathon or any type of marathon or something like that, doing from midnight to midnight is an actual awesome way to do that because if you get plenty of rest before going into that type of stream or going into that type of drive to begin with, you're literally like starting at night, right? It's basically you going from night to day to night again, and then your body is not going to be as knocked out of sync as opposed to if you just
Yeah,
do it like during the middle of the day, like say 8 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden you got to go to 8 o'clock again the next day and stuff. Your body's going to look at that. It's like, oh, I need to sleep, dude. It's going to feel
yeah,
it's going to feel like a sandbag.
yeah. And what helps too is like because it's on daylight savings time.
Oh
The
God,
the two hardest parts about Extra Life doing it were like one, like seeing like you're like, oh, so then just seeing that clock go back an hour, even though it doesn't mean anything to you,
yeah.
like really in the grand scheme of things, just seeing that hour go back is just like it just stings a little bit more. I don't know why. It just like hurts a little bit more. And then like when I used to do it for like the first like 10 years I did it, I would I would just wake up and I would start then. So it'd be like 8, 9 o'clock I would start it. And just like going through like being up all night is difficult. Seeing the clock go back, and then also like the sun is up, like watching the sun go up, and it's like the sun's coming up, and I still have like 3 more hours to go, and then trying to go back to sleep when the sun's up is a nightmare. So, um,
Absolutely, dude.
yeah. So, I like if you're someone that's interested in doing this, you don't like, or if you want to tell someone about it, you don't have to do the whole 24 hours in one go. There's people
No,
out there that we know that do 12 and 12, or 6 and 6, or they just play,
like
in 4 hour chunks or 2 hour chunks over a stretch of time to get that time.
exactly.
Yeah. Or if
I mean,
go ahead, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm meaning to say it's like we have had friends before go and split it into chunks, like if they're streaming or if they're doing like something in that regards, they split the 24-hour period like all over like that week and so they're not having to go through and just do a 1 day like chunk because yeah, obviously it's understandable if you're going to do something like that, if you can't afford to just do one 24-hour chunk, like if you can't like get the days off of work during that weekend, that November 3rd, I think it's the date that we're actually going to go
The
through and do
fourth.
that. The 4th? Okay.
Yeah.
My stand corrected here. Like the 4th, of this year for November. Yeah, that's what we're initially going to go through and do that extra life 24-hour stuff. But yeah, if you don't have like any type of like extra vacation time during that time and you want to try to contribute or something, or yeah, if you can't even do that, if you could just like donate to like any one of your favorite like people that's supporting the good cause for extra life stuff. If it's to Tyler or I, that's fine. If it's to like some popular Twitch streamer or YouTube or whatsoever, I mean that's fine too, as long as you're helping contribute to something that's better,
Yeah.
which is helping maintain the health and well-being of these sick innocent children that are just dealt a hard like hand in life and stuff and need that extra support, that need that extra guidance, especially inside of these trying times as well, with a bunch of uncertainty happening. Obviously things are getting more pricier and things are getting more like elaborate and complicated, and quite honestly a lot of it's getting kind of stupid too. But at the same point, the fact remains is this is going somewhere that's going to help. This is not something that's going to just go and just be like a gigantic waste of time. I mean, this
Yeah.
is absolutely not. I
It's
mean,
not.
if
It's not lining some millionaire's pocket.
exactly, that's why Tyler and I have been doing this now for like 10 plus years and stuff, is because we want to make more of a difference to our communities. It doesn't matter whether it's in Iowa or if it's in Seattle or if it's in Timbuktu. It's the fact that we are trying to do the best to contribute the way we know how, which is playing games, raising money, getting stuff done, streaming what we're doing when we can go through and stream different stuff. But yeah, if you want to donate or something like that, that's fine. But if you want to do what we're doing and stuff like that, hey, that's fine too. I mean, it's extra life. There's a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of stuff you can still go through and like do, but at the same time, it's an awesome cause. It's incredibly awesome and it's highly enjoyable. So I definitely would recommend more people do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, and like if you want to look at it from a selfish standpoint, it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself, and it's a good little thing if you're a karma person. Put a little bit of goodwill in that karma bank. Either whether it's participating, or donating, or just even click the share button. Go on there, find people you maybe you like or something like that, and just share their their profile and stuff like that. So really would recommend it. If you guys do that, it'd be great if you can do that. We'll be talking about it more over the next month or so.
Yes.
But yeah, so once again, November 4th, extra-life.org. Pick any hospital you want. Surprised Gables is doing Seattle, not his homeland of
Mm.
Montreal.
I've
So, but anyways,
never even
let's.
been to Canada, dude.
Yeah, okay, whatever. I've never once in this podcast hear you say about, because they'll probably come out about. Um, anyways, let's move on to for people that don't know, we're 18 minutes in now. This is a video game podcast where Gables and I get together and talk about video games. And I have a couple beers while we do it, and then make fun of Gables' homeland. So Gables. I think for charity, if you raise $100, you should drink your favorite the national drink of your homeland, a bottle
What?
of maple syrup.
Oh God, dude. Dude. Oh God, that would be such a terrible like bet to lose or something like that. You fucking drinking maple syrup.
Gables
Oh.
hashtag for the kids, and I
Hashtag for
figured
the kids.
hashtag for the kids. Uh, anyways, let's get into some of the news this week, guys. Kind of another bad week for gaming, Gables. It's been, I
Yeah.
mean, gamers. It's like I said it last week. This has been the best year ever for gamers, and the worst year ever for people working games. Well, maybe not the worst year ever, but it's definitely one of the worst in a while. So we got some more layoffs going on, and we'll break down some of these one by one here. But kind of one of the bigger ones that stands out this week. I mean, we had Epic last week was one of the big ones. Also, but to write this down, I want to say it for as I remember it. I believe the studio is called Dang Studios. They made Boomerang X, which was like a really great indie game that was actually developed for a digital game, published game. Came out on Switch and PC, I believe in 2020. It got a big boost. It was on like the Nindy Direct, stuff like that.
Right.
They had closed on the studio this week. They just couldn't get any funding for the next project. which is really sad to hear because I know people that really love Boomerang X. But getting to like one of the bigger ones though, Naughty Dog surprisingly had a layoff 25 developers. Um, they did say that none of these were full time people. These were contracted people. They were that were part of the cuts. Unfortunately though, as contractors or like like kind of like temp work is another term for it. There is no severance paid out to them, and they were asked when these people were told they were being laid off. They were told to keep it quiet.
Okay. If it's not written in upon their terms of service or terms of the contract, then there's no way they're going to keep quiet about it.
Yeah, I mean, before we get to the rest of this, like this is gonna get out.
Yes, it
So
will.
why even bother not telling people? like why? Like if someone's gonna talk to Jason Schreier. Someone's gonna talk
Dude,
to Jeff Grubb. Someone's gonna talk to somebody. It's gonna get out.
that's just the thing, dude. I mean, Naughty Dog cannot afford any more like negative publicity and stuff like that for this type of stuff, you know? But it's like this is gonna
Yeah.
be coming out there.
Yeah. I mean they've like they make great games, but there's been a lot of history, even recently, of crunch culture, like the culture in general is just bad. Crunch stuff like that, like the treatment of staff, like the way even like they had the San Diego studio that basically was like making the Last of Us remaster or remake, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and
Okay.
like that studio basically got shut down because they took over, the leads took over that. So even as great as they are, they're not innocent to bad business practices here. But yeah,
Yeah.
like telling them to keep it quiet, no severance for these people. They were expected to work the rest of the month, so I guess that's something. I guess you get, like, hey, like you get another. I don't know when they were told, but presumably about a month left on this contract. But like some of these contracts are like how long did they think they had? Like did they what, was it 2 more months? Was it a year? Was it 6 more months? Like how was like what were they thinking? And also it sucks. They're gonna be out of a job in a month, 3 weeks, and they're gonna be trying to look for work right as the entertainment industry like shuts down and like Thanksgiving. So these people are gonna be out of work right before they shut down for basically 2 to 4 weeks. So that sucks.
Yeah.
Right for the holidays on top of it. Um, some other stuff though, kind of some of the other bigger details here is that kind of the main thing coming out here is that obviously, hopefully everybody finds lands on their feet, stuff like that. I hope it works out for them. It does suck. Like as somebody that spent multiple years working as a contractor or a temp to hire person, it is not a fun job. It's extremely stressful because literally any day you could lose your job. So it's like you can't ever plan for the future. And if you get let go, you don't have any insurance, you don't have any severance, you don't have a 401k. There's no backup plan. You can't collect unemployment. Uh, I get it. It's a stressful job. It's stressful, and it's fucking sucks. So like I said, I totally get that. And like I've spent you know 3 years of my life doing that stuff, and with like they kind of give you that hope and pray that maybe they'll hire you on. They'll kind of like dangle the carrot in front of you, keep thinking you're gonna happen, and 9 times out of 10 doesn't happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, and I've worked for companies that use temp labor, and like you'd sit there and you just like it's because you're higher up and what's gonna happen to them, but it's like you're gonna lose like it's miserable because like what's gonna happen to them, but they have no idea. They're just hopeful, just like you were, and it's like you can't say anything because then you put your job on stake. So it's like I don't know, it's a miserable experience. It's bullshit that shit like that's just stuff that's allowed. And like I said, I hope these people land on their feet. But moving on to some other stuff here. So we talked about back in June. Just sure I talked about that the multiplayer game was uh, kind of not necessarily put on hold, but like they pretty much pulled the majority of the staff over to go work on the next project, presumably The Last of Us Part 3.
Mhm.
Um, and now they said that coming out of the reports here is that the multiplayer game is not canceled, but is basically on ice at this point. Um, and on top of that, it was announced that the principal monetization designer, Andrew Howards, who just started working with the company last November, he came from Epic. He was kind of like considered one of like the key people that like created like the battle pass and stuff like that, and like
Yeah.
one of the key people behind like kind of games of service as a whole, like the monetization, progression, stuff like that of gaming. He went to them to basically help put this together. and he's announced he's leaving the company. Um, yeah, I mean, we talk about this being one of the best years of all time for gamers. Talk about this being a rough year for people that are employed in gaming. But I think another, like, when we look back at 2023, I think another thing that we'll look back on is games as a service. Like, this being the year that, like, really a lot of this shit came to head. We've seen so many games get canceled, like not canceled,
Mm-hmm.
but like the service ends, or like we've seen some of these, like, I feel like even like it's really started last year of like all these like games of service stuff getting announced, and you started hearing, like, you started like feeling like the groans of like, oh, okay, really another one of these. But this year has really come to head. We've, like I said, we've seen a bunch of the games like announced that they're ending service, like Knockout City, Marvel's Avengers is done. Uh, fuck, there was like what? There was like 1 week or like a 2 week stretch where, like, I think we talked about like 7 or 8 games announced that they're ending service.
Yep.
Uh, like I think in like February or March of this year. Um, yeah, and we've just been seeing this happening nonstop, and it's just like now we're at the point now where, like, a lot of these games just aren't even coming out anymore. Um,
No.
and I don't know. I mean, it's just it's man, it's like it's the thing we've been talking about a lot this year, and I don't like. It's the thing I've been talking about with PlayStation a lot is like, if, for a couple years now, when Jim Ryan talked about, like, we have a dozen live service games in development, and it's just like, really, we're doing this? Like, why? Like, I get why, but it's like we the bodies are piling up like rapidly, faster than
Mm-hmm.
like we can create hits. Like, it's wild to me that this is still a thing. But I don't know, Gables, how are you feeling about you know uh, games of service, and like, do you I don't even know. Like, what's like? Do you think there's a future? How many of these things can actually hit anymore? Like, I feel like it's harder now than ever for them to hit. What about you?
The problem is we're at a point of oversaturation to where something needs to come out and hit right from the gate. It can't be like hit like 6 months from now and then building up to some form of like a massive payoff or something like that from you know it has to hit from the get-go, and that's part of the reason why these other live service games have not endured more so than what they were expected to, like Rumbleverse, like Knockout City and stuff like that, even like Avengers. All of these live service games that had been announced the past couple of years or had came out now subsequently are accidentally gone or kind of getting rebranded like multiverses. All of
For
these,
totally forgot about multiverses. They
yeah,
just like they put the game out, and then a year later said, "Oh no, it was in beta the whole time." Like what? People paid for that game, and then
yeah.
they
And
just
now,
took it away.
and then the last thing we've heard from is they're trying to make it a full-on game or something from that.
Yeah, they're gonna like bring it back next year sometime. It's like, Jesus Christ, Gables, I totally forgot about that thing.
Well, I don't blame you because pretty much a lot of these live service games, these smaller ones, are like they mix in with one another and stuff, and so it's kind of hard to like
Yeah,
it's
and
kind of
that's not
hard to
even a small one. That's
differentiate.
a WB backed game.
I know that's like a triple A free to play game,
Yeah,
but it's like what I was saying before. I think that a free to play gaming style can go through and hit, but at the same time, there are two major obstacles in the way. One, there's been so many live service games introduced in a short amount of time that is overinflated the interest of a lot of different people that aren't playing, like, say, Fortnite or Apex Legends or whichever type of major free to play game, like, I don't know, Destiny 2, maybe to some extent, but even so, a lot of users
Apex,
yeah, like I said,
Warzone.
Apex, Warzone, this and that. If it ain't anything like that big, like those franchises and stuff, it's not gonna last more than a few months. It's not even worthwhile to try to do a lot of massive like live service projects if you're not gonna go like all in or something like that. But yet at the same time and stuff, you still have the companies that are still trying to put out these live service games and putting a lot more money into it, thinking that they're going to be getting all of this and all of that. Kind of like with Sega and like the game Hyena.
Yeah, that's next. We'll talk about that next.
Yeah, yeah, but we'll talk about that next. But yeah, I stand by what I've saying before. It's like I think that free to play games can be successful in this current gaming landscape, but at the same time, it has to hit from the gate. it has to be something extremely popular or that's like extremely different than what has come out before it. It cannot be another Fortnite clone. It cannot be another battle royale all in
Extraction
one
shooter.
distraction shooter. It cannot. It could possibly have some bit of like the some of the content that is like well actually when I think about it, it could have sort of similar in terms of some of the cosmetic stuff that people go through and play it, but it, it has to be vastly different than what has come before.
Yeah, there's got to be like a major catch to it, and like it can, yeah, like there's got to be a good hook to it. And it's like even like you said, like even if it comes out and it's like good right away, like the sustainability of it. Like we've seen these games come out and be popular for a couple months or like a month or like a couple weeks, and it's like then there's like no new content. It's like you need to
Yep,
have like a good plan of stuff afterwards on top of that. Like,
absolutely.
and we've seen like that's a struggle where it's like sometimes they just get the game out and it's like okay, then all right, cool enough. Everybody plays for a couple weeks. It's like all right, now what? It's like I mean we've seen like even like it doesn't have to be like a huge hit. Like nothing. It doesn't have to be great generate $1 billion a year. But we've seen like Rocket League and Fall Guys and stuff like that. Like they don't have huge audiences, but they
Mm-hmm.
just are they're sustainable. They make
Yep.
money. They're like they have a good crowd of people that keep going back to them. What's the other game? There's a PS4 launch game, free to play
Warframe.
game, Warframe. Yeah, that game's like going for like I've never met a single person in my life that plays that game,
Yep,
and that game just keeps going.
it does.
Um, and we've seen this go on and on, and like there's definitely been times like that ain't gonna work, and it works. Like there's been, but it's like more times than not we're right. As gamers, as fans and whatever, like we see it's just yeah. I don't. It's it makes sense that I guess now that like now we talk about all the time how like game development takes longer than ever. Um, when you look at like kind of like 2016 when PUBG blew up, 2017 Fortnite became a thing. Then like 2019, I think we had Apex. In 2020, I believe it was, we had Warzone. Like we're now seeing like when all those games like blew up, and like 4 or 5 years ago. Now this is like when all these games are coming out, and they're coming like we're like getting announced in the last year or so, getting announced this year, and like all those games that like they started development in 2017 in 2018, now they're coming out, but it's like now this trend is over, and it's like the thing we talk about all the time is like like in movies and TV you can it's easier to chase trends because you can write a script, you can hire people, you can film a movie very quickly and get it edited and fast track it out. Like there's like the famous story of like Universal Studios announced Armageddon, and I can't remember who what the other one studio was that like they heard like they announced that they're making that, and then another studio decided to fast track a movie called Deep Impact to beat them out to the box office. Like
Mm-hmm.
they wrote and released the whole movie in like less than a year, like the beat out Armageddon.
Huh,
And it's like that shit like you can do that and like and just shit at those things out, but it's like in gaming, it's hard to do. It's impossible. Like
absolutely.
you can't have how it was in like the 2000s when like World of Warcraft blew up, and then there was dozens of fucking MMO ripoffs that came out and failed. And like I remember like that being a big thing of like these games come out and they'd be like there'd be like a DC one, there's a Marvel one, there's a Lord of the Rings one, there's
Yep.
a fucking a ripoff of a DC one out. There's every single Star Wars had one. All these like a million of them came out. APC came out. I remember that one. And like they come out, they'd be like they charge a monthly fee, and then after like 6 months, no one's playing the game anymore. They make it free to play, and then they after a year later they die. Same then GTA 3 happened, and there was a million ripoff of those things within just a couple of years. Now that's impossible. Like now we're seeing, like I said, it takes 3 4 years to even get like a mid tier game out, like a mid tier as far as like content wise, not quality. Of like a Miles Morales game it takes 2 3 years probably to make now, and like a Spider-Man 2 takes 5 6 years to get out now, and
It's the fact
yeah,
the expectations have gotten so incredibly high in terms of what games are considered to be great games now that has kind of put into the spotlight of these free to play games that are not set for like a 6 month to like a year period with quality content. because a lot of the times, if they're starting out and stuff, they'll have maybe a set amount, maybe for about a year, or maybe for like the 6 months, and then they have to go
If
forth
that.
into, if that, I mean, infamously, you have like Bungie with Destiny 2 and stuff like that, try to create their content and stuff and try to have this roadmap to what they want to go through and done. But then they literally put out an expansion this past year called like Lightfall and stuff that's supposed to be like that final initial thing for
Yeah.
Destiny 2, but it ended up being like more like a filler arc inside of a damn TV show to like the actual thing that comes out next year, which kind of
Yeah.
pissed off so many different Destiny 2 players,
Or
including myself.
you look at like Marvel's Avengers, like they like here's like 25 characters coming down the line, and we're also doing the Wakanda expansion that's coming
Yeah.
like 6 months from now, and that ended up taking like a year and a half to come out. All these characters are supposed to come out in like the next like 2 years. We end up getting like I don't know half dozen of them, and most of them were just like
Mm.
here's a Hawkeye character.
Yep.
Here's the female Hawkeye character. Here's a character that plays just like Black Widow. Here's another character that plays just like Captain America. Here's different. Here's She-Hulk. And finally here's Spider-Man, and he's just like whatever. Um, yeah, it's like I don't. It's not working, and I hope that like I'm glad that like it sucks is like so Jeff Grubb was talking about this on his podcast recently where um that everything going on with Last of Us, the multiplayer game, was that, and he talked about just this week, I believe, that um, they hired Bungie. Big part of what Bungie was doing was to like they're probably one of the best at this live service stuff, other than like Epic really, and he talked about how the gameplay was good, the story was good, everything was like fine as far as the game goes, but the problem was monetization and progression was like the two key issues. Like they were like trying to make a Naughty Dog game into a live service game, which is the issue that we've seen with a lot of these companies is like because most of these companies have never made a live service game before, so they're trying to make their style game but live service, and it's a square peg round hole situation, and it just doesn't work out, and it's just kind of this weird in between thing of like like there's some things here I like. If you like that style, you like this developer, you like the style thing, but then there's all those other bullshit things that like really get in the way of it. It's kind of like back in like the 360 era where it's like Resident Evil 5, like we had a shoehorn in co-op and like or like a
Mm-hmm.
million other games like it's like it's actually a good game here, but it's like I wish it was just single player, or like they always had a shoe in like a multiplayer mode or like Dead Space 2 got like a fucking multiplayer mode. It's
Online
like this
multiplayer mode. Yep.
yeah, I mean, this is it's entertainment in general. You look at like TV shows, dating back in the 70s and 80s, where it's like there a certain style show would blow up, and then there's like every other station has to rip it off, or reality shows come out, and then there's like Bachelor blows up, and there's a million Bachelor knockoffs that come out. Like this is
Yep.
just how business goes. It's not even an entertainment thing; it's a business thing, but like it's how it goes. But it's like I hope that this year and next year, like we're gonna see more. Like they're inevitably gonna happen. This is gonna be an ongoing situation. But I hope that like that this year, next year, like finally like scares off enough people that like it's never gonna completely stop, but like enough. Like it's no longer every company's doing it. It's just like there's a handful, maybe like, but like everybody's going back to like all right, we just gotta make good quality games, and like but I don't know. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like it's like we're seeing all these layoffs going on in the gaming industry where it's like people are scared to, it's like people they need hits, but they're also kind of scared to like fuck up. So it's this weird thing where like everybody's scared to take chances, but also they can't afford not to have a hit. So
Yep.
um, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But like, it just sucks. I feel bad for those people that are getting laid off, and yeah, it sucks because like if anybody can make a live service game that I can really get into, it'd probably be Naughty Dog. And it's just, I don't know. I hope that like one of these days, they just like reuse those assets into like something else, and so I can see them as a Naughty Dog fan. So, but let's move on, Gables, to sticking with games as a service for 1,000 here. Hyenas. So we talked about this last week. This is the Sega game, live service game. This was their super game, as they were calling it. That they just announced just last year, and we're planning on releasing in the next, probably 6 to 12 months or so. They So this is coming out now. So there's been some details come out with this game that it was Sega's most expensive game they've ever
Hmm.
made, passing I just forgot the fucking name.
Shenmue.
Shenmue, that was reported about $70 million. But Gables, $70 million in the '90s on a Dreamcast game.
I know.
What? What are they doing? That's insane. Like what the? Like, no wonder why that fucking thing lost so much goddamn. That basically killed the Dreamcast right there. Um,
Among my rated things.
I'm just gonna solely blame Shenmue. In my world, it's just Shenmue, and also in my world, you're Canadian. So, so part of the problem is, so there's a lot of details that came out from. This is from VGC here. They talk about they had a lot of sources they talked to, and people that got laid off from Creative Assembly. That the game was canceled due to an ambitious plans and high competition in the multiplayer shooter space, which it's kind of the story of games as a service right now. Some anonymous developers said that a lack of direction, disruptive engine change, and overly cautious design contributed to its downfalls. One anonymous developer wrote, "So what went wrong? Total lack of direction, many of the leadership asleep at the wheel, but they never seem to lose their jobs," which makes sense. An engine change partway through the process, attempting to break into a saturated market and not committing to do anything adventurous with the game. So like saying himself, like I just said, like it's like we can get hits, but everybody's too scared to take chances. So one person said that I was in the boardroom when someone presented what Hyenas could be. So this was presented in 2017. Let me find the quote here. He said it's PUBG, Overwatch, Destiny, and Tarkov, and it'll take 5 years to make. That was that was the idea before Hyenas. Like this was the game concept that somebody in a boardroom came up with. We want a PUBG,
Oh
Overwatch,
God.
Destiny, Tarkov type game, and it comes out in 5 years. I just I,
Oh, that is such a mess just to think about what the heck they're actually trying to
I
describe because
I
oh
want to be like a person in a boardroom. Like, hey, I want a movie that makes $1 billion, like Marvel's Avengers. Like that's all you gotta do. Apparently, he's got to like say big words that like things that have hit. Like, hey, just we want to make that, and but like don't have follow up for that. That's great. Um, there was a movie director that visited the studio about 3 years ago, and he gave some ideas on the premise of the world. And so, kind of the premise actually, it's actually kind of interesting. Is like basically it's in the future, and like physical content is no longer a thing. So now like the like
right, right.
the things that are like worth and valuable in like this world are um like DVDs, Blu-rays, fucking there was like a Sega plushie, shit like that. Like physical goods are like now like the gold of this era, and that's kind of like what they're doing. Like it's an extraction shooter, and that's kind of like the idea of like you're going to Earth to try to extract these type of things, and that was kind of the idea this guy came up with. It. He says that the purpose of the world, and after that period of so this is from another former developer said that he said some of the ideas of the premise of the world after that period of what the fuck are we doing? It was a real shot in the arm to have some, in all caps, direction. So uh, not going great.
Mm.
So like I said, they officially announced this in June last year. However, at that point, there was still uncertainty around the game's direction and even its business model. Gables, they started making this game in 2017. 5 years in, they had no idea the direction of the game or how it was going to make money. Uh, so
Oh boy.
so yeah. So then in this past summer, Sega announced that they didn't announce it. They decided that instead they'll make it free to play. So now after 6 years of development, they decided we're going to change this to from a premium full price game to a free to play game. So they had to change even more shit about it. Um, so obviously officially it was announced last week it was going to be canceled. And some of the people on the staff that formerly were working on it said that they're not even mad it was canceled, but rather upset by the lack of leadership and the layoffs that became of it. Um, and just and the, like I said, the layoffs and just the way the whole thing was bungled from here on out. But also they were upset that so Creative Assembly, people don't know, um, was really like one of the backbones of Sega for a long time. Like they were like the one profitable arm of Sega for decades, since like really the Dreamcast era. They've been the kind of the thing keeping Sega going. People know they made the Total War games. They've also taken I said they're kind of like they did like the Halo War games, and the big one they did
Right.
that they're known for is they made Alien Isolation. Like So they're one of the like few people that actually took a horror IP and turned it into like and actually made a good game out of it. We don't see really any of those ever. So yeah, this is like it's one of those things where it's like we talk about like we have this team that's known for doing this over here, and then we try to make them. Here's a square peg of a team. And we're gonna try to shove them into a round hole, and they put them on. This is a team that makes Total War style games and Alien Isolation, and they try to make them make a extraction shooter with no idea how to do it. So, um, very sad, Kate. But this is the thing we keep seeing. It's just everybody wants this big games of service model that creates $1 billion of income, but nobody knows how to do it. They don't know. They're too scared to make any drastic decisions on how to get there or what they can do to make it stand out. So I don't know. It was you brought it up earlier about Hyena. How you feeling about this one?
Honestly, it's kind of sad to think that in order for Sega to even to go forth and try to get this title going off the road and stuff, they had to invest multiple millions of dollars in order to try
hundred
to
plus
make this
million
game.
dollars.
Yes, I know they spent over what Shenmue like money in order to try to pump into this live service game, but it never got enough stability in order to make it actually to market, which that's so really disappointing in this retrospect because even when we saw the footage of what was revealed last year, a lot of gamers, including I think myself, that were just kind of meh
Mm-hmm.
on the game itself because it just looked like an average free to play shooter. And we know how average free to play shooters or mediocre ones last in this lifetime and stuff, and not for too long.
No.
Absolutely not for too
Yeah.
long. Just ask Platinum Games of their last major free to play game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But
I forgot about that.
yeah,
That
of
game was just
course.
bad though. It wasn't even mediocre. Uh,
Exactly, exactly. But the point being is like when you put out a live service game and stuff, you have to have some sort of concrete plan or some sort of structure in order for it to actually not only make it to market but it be successful. But because of oversaturation and because of how much mismanagement looks like it was involved inside of this case, it's like I'm not too surprised that they just outright cancel it despite spending that much money. I mean, holy crap, dude. I mean, just thinking about how much money was spent just pumping into this game Hyena that was not going to go anywhere, especially when they thought it was going to be like a free to play game at some point. It's really disappointing. It's like it's the best thing I can actually go forward and say about this is like it just really
yeah.
disappointing.
Well, and yeah, like you said, Gables, like these games just come out and they're just fine, and that's what sucks even more is like the games come out, they're not even bad. It's just they're just not they're just fine. They're sevens, and it's like
That's the
we were
thing. It's got to be more than just a 7 in order to make it into that landscape
yeah, and
though.
it's like we were talking about before the show. It's like if Immortals of Avium came out in like the 2000 early 2010 era, or even like fucking early PS4 Xbox One era, it's like that game would be like a game of the year contender, or uh,
In the
it would
top
be in the
10.
top 10. It'd be a widely remembered game, and it's like now it comes out and like no one cared that game came out, and that game's it's not a bad game
Right.
whatsoever. It is a 7 out of 10, and it's just that now the studio like they had to lay off over half the staff because the game sold so poorly, and it's like man, it's like we were talking about before, like Two Human came out in like 2000 like eight or I can't remember when it was like 2007, 2008, at a time frame where like nothing else came out, and we were but in that game came out and it was incredibly average, and like
Hmm.
but everybody like ton of people were buying it just because we were so excited for just an average game to come out to play, and nowadays we're so flooded, we're so um I don't know what's the word like there's just so much good shit out
Oversaturated.
oversaturated, but like even like spoiled, I guess, of just so much good shit all the time that like I can't keep up with all the great shit that's coming out on like the movie side of things, like just entertainment, everything like that, like movie, TV shows, video games, anything like that. Like it's a full time job just to keep up with all the great shit that's coming out nowadays, and it's like we don't.
Yes, the amount of that's the thing, man. It's like the amount of attention to be involved in like any type of media nowadays, especially for how busy a lot of us are with full-time jobs and this and that. It's very precious in terms of what time we actually go through and devolve time and effort
Yeah.
into. And I'll tell you what, it's like the things that we're going to be least likely to spend time and effort for are like half, or like maybe middle of the road free to play
Yeah.
games, or maybe like middle of the road content like movies or TV shows or whatsoever that are just going to be, oh, okay, maybe I can just watch this average sort of show because I feel like it or something like that. I mean, you need to have something that just grabs attention. And unfortunately, in this case and scenario and stuff, for any of these free to play games, including Sega's Hyena and stuff, these weren't things that were readily thought out, and these things weren't readily like concrete just to lure people in from the get go.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, like we said, it's just this can continue to happen, unfortunately, and because someone in a boardroom saw what Fortnite's doing. It's like we want one of those, and there's like, but they have no plan of action actually how to get one of those or how you make one of those. But somebody somebody up in a boardroom up top decided to make one of those, and yeah, that's what keeps happening, unfortunately. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully this shit changes soon. But let's move on, Gables, to some other news. Oh no, I missed one here. Gables, this is a big one for you. Nintendo
Uh,
announced that they are shutting down the Wii U and 3DS online servers in April. They did say the Pokemon Bank will keep working after that, but they did say though it could potentially get shut down as well. Um, they said the plan is to shut
right.
it down in early April. So like anything online, internet rankings, data distribution. They did say though, please note that if an event occurs that would make it difficult to continue online services for Nintendo 3DS and Wii U software, we may have to discontinue the service earlier than planned. So like someone hacks the servers and shit like that. GeoHot returns and decides to take them down, then it's gone. So yeah, it's incredibly sad, Gills. Like this is just
Well,
a
yeah.
thing that keeps happening. We're seeing this. We're seeing we just have all these game service games. These games are getting shut down and they're unplayable now. We're seeing all these, and we're PS3, PS2. It's like all these online games are you can't play anymore online if they had online modes. But like especially now, like this era where it's like paper or not paper Mario Maker is useless now. There are well, we will be useless in April. Like you already can't upload any more maps. You can't download any more or not, levels. Um, so
Right.
I mean, you can only play what you either make or what you've already downloaded. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, I mean, it's just it's very sad that like yeah, you can't even at this point. Or you can still download levels. You just can't upload levels anymore. I'm sorry. So yeah, but after April, that game like one of the greatest games ever. One of the best games of the year of 2015. Um, it's kind of like it's almost like an Overwatch situation where like Overwatch is just dead. One of the greatest games of all time is just dead a few years
Yep.
later, and now here we are looking at the 2016 game of the year. Overwatch is dead, and one of the best games of the year in 2015 will be dead. It's very sad. How you feeling, Gills? About
Yeah.
you're the Nintendo guy. You're the preservation guy. How you feeling about this one?
Okay, in terms of their online servers for both the Wii U and the 3DS, I mean, yeah, it is sad that those services are going to be closing down. At the same point, I'm just thinking about the different types of games that were predominantly used for online stuff, like say your Mario Kart stuff, your Pokemon, your Smash Brothers especially. But at the same time and stuff, when I think about it, it's like when it came to the storefronts, the digital storefronts, yeah, that was a major loss in terms of what the preservation of games that were presented and stuff that no longer became available. Obviously, myself as well as other people are trying to scramble just to get the last bit of the digital games that we wanted to get from those services before they went down. But in the terms of the online stuff, I mean, it doesn't hit me as much only because I used certain online functions for the 3DS and the Wii U from like say like yeah like with Mario Maker or with like say playing certain games online with Smash Brothers the Wii U version more specifically and even like Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. I did play bits of online stuff from Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. But yeah, even so, I can think of more obscure things, even like Splatoon.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Splatoon is the original Splatoon now. The online for that's going to be totally like
Yeah,
unplayable. So unless they have a plan to re-release the original Splatoon, not maybe not on the Switch, maybe it's gonna be like a Switch 2 title or some like a remastered version of the
Yeah. Well,
original.
I mean, like a lot of those maps have been like re basically redone for Splatoon 2 and 3, but they are
Right, right.
they're like they've been changed, but yeah, like the original maps are gone. So
But yeah, that's money for Nintendo right there. They could just easily go forth and just put out like the story mode thing for the original Splatoon if they wanted to, and just remake certain aspects of that to make it feel more classic
yeah,
and stuff. I mean, hell, they got the fucking hub thing for Splatoon 1 inside of the Splatoon 3 expansion
yeah, they
pack, for
charge money
God's
for that,
sake.
Gables. It's the most infuriating.
Yes, I
I, I
know.
I hate this goddamn company so goddamn much. People just we bitch about some of the shit that other companies do, and like dumb
Yep.
shit, and then this place is like, hey, we're gonna charge you like $10 for this hub world, and people are like,
Yeah, I know,
cool.
right? I know. I mean, I that's something I don't like either, but at the same point,
Drives me mad.
at I know, man. At the same point though, it's like even with like say with Splatoon being down, Smash Brothers being like the online stuff being down and stuff and whatever and stuff, the Wii U and the 3DS weren't really known for like online gameplay really too much. I mean, a lot of the stuff was shoehorned inside of the games of those types and stuff. But even when you think of the more popular games of that time frame and stuff. It was just like maybe 4 or 5 specific games, which more or less people have moved on from those versions of the games onto the Switch, say with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, making those previous versions pretty much like obsolete in terms of going back to the 3DS or the Wii U for those specific systems. I mean, you're not going to have too many people going and doing like say tournament play just for those versions of the game, even if they have like the better iteration on the Switch currently with Smash Brothers Ultimate and
Yeah,
stuff. Or if they want to do something retro or something like that, they go back to Melee because people absolutely fucking love competitive Melee. But what I'm saying is, it's sad that the online portions are going away this upcoming April 2024. But at the same time, though, I've just kind of accepted that, yeah, it's a thing that's happening, but it's not really as big of a deal as, say, the digital storefronts and stuff going down and preserving those games. Because I think of it too, it's like there will be people that will start creating servers for like the more obscure 3DS or Wii U titles, say like a Splatoon or like say like oh god, even like some of the 3DS games that had like online portions for them, like say the Pokemon games or whatever the
yeah.
heck. And like oh god, not just that, but there were other games that had online functions too. I'm just not really thinking too hard in regards
It
to
was like
some of
Xenoblade
them.
Chronicles X and stuff had alliance
Yes.
capabilities
Yes.
are gonna be gone now. So
Yeah, that's true
Pokken
too.
tournament. So
Pokken Tournament as well, but that also got a Switch
yeah,
version of it as well.
true.
And Xenoblade Chronicles X could easily be gone through and brought back to be like either remastered on the Switch 2
As far
or
as I
wherever
never
the heck where they decide to go.
shocked. That's like one of like the handful of games that just didn't get ported.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. It's like one of like the
yeah.
five
It's
different
like
like Wii U
the NEX
titles.
remix games and that's kind of it. So uh,
NES remakes like Xenoblade Chronicles X, like the Zelda Wind Waker and Twilight Princess like
yeah,
HD stuff like that. Those games. But yeah, man, it's not as effective. This online stuff is not really as effective as I
yeah,
I think that it could have been.
yeah. I got rid of my Wii U a long time ago, so it's like to me it doesn't affect me. But like it's just still kind of there's like a little bit of that's kind of sad though to see that stuff go. So um,
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
those like great levels that are gonna be gone forever on like Mario Maker. That sucks. But moving on, Gables to other news this week here. So we talked about last week. There was the rumors of the Sony hack. Apparently the hack was real, but it only affects the employees. So obviously
Oof.
sucks for them. Hopefully Sony takes care of those people as they should. But if you're someone that was worried about, if you have like a PlayStation account or something like that, no reason to be worried. They did not get any of your details, but maybe just be safe. Maybe
Right.
still change your password. So yeah. Next up here, Gables Last of Us 2 remastered thing that's been leaked and rumored to death. Gustavo, the music director of the game, did a interview back in July talking about how how he's in the game. like the in the remaster, like the changes in the remaster, than we was supposed to. A dev posted the remaster in their LinkedIn profile, so more details of things happening. Um, Jason Schreier talked about a couple years ago that originally the plan was, even before the Last of Us remake was announced, that the plan was to re-release Last of Us 2 with the Last of Us multiplayer game, like coming out 1-on-1. So I've always thought about like I'd be, if they put out this remaster and it's like for me it's like a $10 upgrade, I'd be more than happy to do that because I've been wanting to replay this game again because I talked about before like I was so worried about spoilers online that I basically just raced through this game in like a week. And I like to go back and just be able to play this game again and just enjoy it without, because obviously I know the story now, so I don't need to worry about spoilers and shit. So it'd just be nice to enjoy that game and take my time and like do all like explore the world, stuff like that, instead of mainlining as fast as I could. Some more sad details here. Telltale, uh, I guess, quietly laid off majority of their staff. Um, at the end of September. Telltale's The Expanse came out. The season ended, I believe, in mid-September, and sounds like shortly after they laid off most of the staff. They did apparently Wolf Among Us 2 is still in development, which is insane. Gables, that game has been in development since the 360 days. Obviously,
Shit.
this is a different Telltale. This is like a zombie Telltale, where someone bought the name in like bankruptcy of this and tried to bring it back. And people don't know like I'm a huge fan of Telltale. I played and beat all of their games except from the first Walking Dead season all the way till now. I'm still playing I haven't finished the Expanse yet, but I played the first 2 episodes. I love them, and just finished up Starfield. And I'm like, I'm gonna go back and finish that up. But yeah, beating everything except for the Minecraft show. That one. That's the only thing I haven't beaten. So I'm a huge Telltale fanboy. I was devastated when they found out that the studio got closed in 2018, I believe, 2019. And I was so happy that they got brought back, and it's devastating again. And Deck Nine was also helping co-develop this. No idea how the how what who how much was doing who was doing how much of what and who was in charge of what. Deck Nine, people don't know, they made the Life is Strange Before the Storm and Life is Strange Two Colors. So like these type of games are like what they're known for. So yeah, it's incredibly sad. I'm curious like what happened. Like did the game not sell well enough? Did they go over budget? Like um was the expectations unrealistic? Type of things like yeah, just like I put this in our Discord, Gables, and you brought up a good point. Is like is it like are the price of making games out of whack? And maybe they are. And also, is the expectations of game sales out of whack as well? It's like talk about like Final Fantasy.
It's a combination of a lot of different things, but I kind of feel like that it's not one concrete thing. I feel like it's a mixture of the budgets that game developers are putting into to try to attempt to put out a fantastic game, but at the same time, it's like you have companies that obviously want more and more and more upon each and every big release. Like, let's think of a good example here with Final Fantasy 16 and how much money was chucked into the development of that game and the visuals and like the gameplay stuff itself. And even to Square Enix, even though it made like a multitude like amount of money and stuff, it wasn't nearly as much as what they thought that they could go
Yeah,
and rake in after spending so many hundreds of millions in
yeah.
order to get that stuff
They even
going.
said that like the game met expectations, just didn't meet the high end of expectations. I mean, the problem is that they were hoping for. This is another problem with gaming is like they've had we talk about like all of these misses they put out in the last, like they keep pumping out these shit games, like they putting out
Yep.
multiple games within like weeks of each other. Like last year I think they put out like 30 games and that nobody cared. They didn't sell, they didn't barely acknowledge, they barely pushed, barely advertised these games coming
Yes.
out. So they had all these misses, and they put Final Fantasy 16 out to help cover up the money they lost. They were hoping that would cover up enough to make up for the losses of all those games. And it's like no, the game made a bunch of money, but it just didn't make enough money. And it's like what?
To cover the losses
Yeah,
they
it's like
did with the other
yeah, because
games.
like it made its money back, and like it's successful for what it is, but it wasn't successful enough for us because we fucked up so much other shit. I keep saying this, Gables. If Square Enix didn't have Final Fantasy 14, that place would have been out of business a long time ago. Um,
Yep.
so, but speaking of, like I thought we were talking about, like, man, I wish like it was public knowledge how much the budget of these games, and it wasn't just coming out from leaks and stuff like that. Um, so some of the developers from remember the Lord of the Rings Gollum game, one of the worst rated games of the year, one of the worst rated games of in several years, on a big budget scenario. Not I should say of a something that was published, something that like that had a decent sized backing behind it with a known IP, Lord of the Rings. Um, Apparently, the budget of this game was $16 million. So, uh, and then people don't know the studio was shut down pretty much shortly after the game came out. So, and that game came out, and like I said, I think it's like a 26 on like Metacritic or something like that. So, did not do well. But I
Wow.
was actually surprised how shocking low that budget was because this game was announced in 2019. This was the first game announced for Xbox Series and PS5. This was the first next gen game
Yep.
announced, and it took them. It was supposed to be a 2021 game, and then it took after multiple years
Wow.
of delay, it comes out in that situation. I was kind of stunned how low it was, honestly. But
Oh yeah, it's definitely low. It's low enough to the fact where I didn't even think that WB was too confident that that game would actually do well
well,
at
WB
all
doesn't
and
own the
stuff. That's probably
doesn't own the
why.
IP, so they like this is like a scenario where they paid a bunch of money to get the IP to make this game. So, um,
Right,
but
right.
yeah, like man, like how badly did this game sell that they like couldn't make up the budget of $16 million? Like I want to know. Like
That's a good question. That's a good
yeah,
question. But yeah, man, I never thought I'd seen a time where it's like a game releases and subsequently the developers have to apologize for making such a bad
Gables.
game.
Oh, fun fact about that apology they put out.
What?
That apology was
Uh
made by Chat GPT. Yeah, it
really?
was an AI apology. They didn't even. Yes,
What?
they didn't even like. Yeah.
What?
So that apology they put out for that Golem
Oh
game
no.
wasn't even a written note. Like it was literally they had AI write it for them.
Oh my god, that's even more scummy, dude. You can't even write an apology for the game you created. You have to rely on an AI to do it for you.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, here's another layer of shit
Yeah.
underneath.
Just keeps getting funnier and worse. But yeah. Weird year in gaming. One of the weirdest years ever. Uh,
Yes.
but let's move on to what we've been playing. Gables, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You know what? I'm gonna go first only because there's like maybe a couple of things I actually have went through and played for this past week. Obviously, I played some more F-Zero 99, which I am over around the 9-10 hour mark on playing that game. And man, I'm still finding a lot of enjoyment going through a lot of the different tracks. Obviously, with the new update, with the whole Kings, like the King, not the Kings, but like the Queens League and stuff like that. I've been going through the different courses with that specific one. Last night I did complete the Queens circuit in that regard, so I went through the whole slew of the all 5 tracks. And and it can be fairly difficult when you're trying to complete the specific type of Grand Prix because there's a lot of room for error and you can crash out like on the first or the second like race if you're not paying attention, which has happened to me a couple times for the Queen's Grand Prix, the Queen League's Grand Prix. But let's see, I went through the 5 tracks, which composed Mute City 2. Among that, there was also Red Canyon 1. I know there was that track that's called Winter 1 and also Winter 2. Oh no, Whiteland 1 and Whiteland 2. But for the later for those later tracks and stuff, they're like snow affiliate, So there's like the snow on the track, and you have to incorporate your turn radius and stuff with how slippery the tracks are and stuff. But from playing through the Queen's Grand Prix, I really like what they've done in terms of modifying the tracks when you start off and stuff. Because when you start off and stuff, you kind of jockey for the position in order to cross the starting line first and stuff in order to try to get a little bit of an advantage before you do initial boost, and then you heal up your vehicle and then try to do a lot of different terrain stuff. For the Queen's Grand Prix, I placed 11th. I placed actually 11th in regards to the whole rank of the initial one I was in. And I started off kind of like I started off kind of hot. I placed eighth place, and then all of a sudden I dropped down to like a 20 something in the second, and then I started doing a little bit better. I got like 13th or like 14th or something for a couple of the corresponding ones, and then I finished kind of high in regards to the last one. I think it was like ninth on the last one, and that's what kind of averaged out to be like 11th place and get all this other different stuff. I'm still using the Blue Falcon. I am using what's tried and true to me so far. I have checked out like what the other different like vehicles and stuff, what they can do. I've actually looked up some YouTube videos upon what the strengths and the benefits are for each vehicle. And apparently, the one that has the most health is like that little green vehicle and stuff like that. That the Racer Pico drives and stuff. It has a lot of armor, so it'll go through and like withstand a whole bunch of different hits. Whereas the Golden Fox, which is like the fastest vehicle and stuff, it has the lowest HP, but it also regains like a lot of HP and stuff when you're using, like when you're replenishing a lot of your health and stuff, right? So it's easy to go forth and destroy this vehicle on the go if you have like Golden Fox racers or something just going through and just being totally reckless and not knowing what they're doing. There was one moment yesterday where my first race, I went through and I placed and stuff, but along the way, I think it was like on the second or the third lap, I did a spin move and I took out and I took out two racers at the same time, like side by side by me and stuff. And I think both of them were like Golden Foxes, and it was just kind of hilarious because every time you KO an actual player inside F Zero, like 99, you'll get increases inside of your boost bar. Like it'll stack up to like around five, like the maximum amount. And man, I got that good boost, and I ended up placing within the top 10 of that race. But it's quite awesome to where I feel like that this game has me hooked and stuff to like that one more race mentality. Because I've literally like done a whole bunch of different things with the Blue Falcon. I've reached a whole bunch of different plateaus. I finally have reached the the inside of some parts of the S tier in terms of ranking and stuff. So I'm not the S minus tier. That's the one that I've initially ranked up because they'll go from the initial rank ups where they'll go minus, then neutral, and then they'll go plus. And then once you get past like S plus and stuff, it starts going like S2 or S3 or like I've seen people as high as like S11, S12 or something like that. The guys and like girls or something that have spent so much time playing this game that literally have like some of them have like 99 plus wins and all this other shit. Like literally, this is their only game they play. But it's one of those type of games too, to where it's so easy to get into because it's unlike any other type of game that's offered on the service right now. Besides, like buying a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and then just try to play that with like other people online. But in terms with this one, this feels like Nintendo Switch Online's like best online centered game because of how addicting it could be to pick your racers, race off against 98 other competitors and stuff. And it's literal chaos, dude. I mean, there's so much more stuff you can actually learn in terms of tricks, in terms of destroying some of like this bumping off of other cars and stuff, taking out other racers and stuff. But yeah, man, other than that though, like I said, I did try a little bit of Crazy Taxi a little bit before I started going through and started recording with you and stuff. And I just tried to pop on the arcade mode of it because I chose a driver. I wanted to drive around stuff. I just want to get a good feel of the controls. The game absolutely looks good. It looks so good. I'm just playing on my CRT that I have in my dresser here, my small 13-inch CRT, and the colors, the visuals, and everything else like that, they really pop. The controls of it are still fine. I can still go through and use the analog stick and stuff, but that kind of tripped me up at first is like when you're going through and like just doing the acceleration or to back up, you have to alternate between like I think it's the A and the B buttons and stuff to where the you press the A button, it'll switch the little lever thing to reverse, and you have to press the R trigger in order to try to do reverse. Because like in modern racing games, it's like you'll have in some modern racing games when you press the L trigger, it's supposed to like either back up or brake or do something like that. But yeah, man, it's pretty much pretty damn fun. I mean, I'll definitely put in some more time into it though, but I've also wanted to try to get into playing Liza P fairly soon, or at least getting something going upon that because the Dreamcast is going to be in between like just playing some major game stuff. Because my initial plan with now having a Dreamcast and like having like a game that I can go through and play it is like every time I beat a game of the Dreamcast, I'm going to try to find another one online or something like that and just try to make it sort of like a side journey while I'm doing major
Yeah.
games. But other than that, man, that's all I've been playing. How about you?
Yeah. So I've been playing a few games. Knocked a couple games off. Well, knocked one game off my backlog here at least. And we're
Yeah.
working on a couple others here. First off, I'll run through this one pretty quickly. I did a replay of Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yeah. So
Hey.
it's I just did New Game Plus. I beat it like that, like I was well, but when I got my PS5 at launch, but I pretty much ran through it that like in like 2 days when it came out because yeah, well,
Wow.
it's super short. Like it's a great game. Like it's I said over and over again. I think it's better than the original Spider-Man. Not in like obviously I think like the story is better in the original in Spider-Man 2018, but it's just like I think the game is better because it's so. It's the thing with like it's not overblown. There's not too much to it. It's very it's not like you open up the map and there's not a million like things to do. It's they've really focused on like some of like the little side quests you can do or like optional things you can do. Like they're a lot shorter and there's a lot more care put into them. And then also like that I think that story is fantastic in Miles Morales. And I just want to replay that before back in January I talked about it. I went back and I started replaying Spider-Man. And then I got to the part the first time we got to play as Mary Jane. I'm like, fuck this, never mind. Like, I don't want to. I love that game. I think the game was fantastic, but like, I totally forgot that Mary Jane and the
Oh.
Miles Morales like walking sections where you gotta hide was there, and I'm like, as great as the game is, I really don't want to do all this shit. So I was like, never mind. So I stopped doing that, and then obviously with this Miles Morales, those don't exist. So and I pretty much just mainline the game, and you can beat the story and like you just want to mainline it probably like 5 hours. So um, yeah, I did on New Game Plus, so that helps too. So I just did that. Did dabble a little bit, some extra shit, but I played through all that in like probably like 3 sittings, and that was great. Um, Next up, though, I did beat another game as well today. I played the game Cocoon. People don't know this is a from people
Mm.
that worked on like Limbo and Inside. They broke off and started their own studio. Um, it still blows my mind, Gables, that Inside came out in June 2016 from Playdead.
Yep.
Um, and since that time, over 7 years ago, two other studios have broken off from Playdead, created brand new studios, and have released games in Somerville and Cocoon before Playdead has announced their next game. It's so wild to me. Like, I hope everything is okay over there
Yeah.
because I love their games. I want another one of theirs. I can't wait to play them. But it's wild to me that we're. I mean, it's been a whole gaming generation between um, like Insomniac has put out like 6 AAA games faster than Playdead's put out a game. Um,
Mm.
so if everything's okay over there. But anyways, this is one of the our studio from former Inside Limbo developers, and people know this is like so it's on Game Pass. It's on everything, but it's on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, it's on there. It is very much like an Inside or a Limbo. This one is a top-down version, and so it's in 3D space. It's not 2D like we're used to from them, and it's much more colorful. It's gorgeous. You play as like a I don't know, like a moth-looking creature, and like there's no story, there's no dialogue. It's all based off puzzle. It's all puzzle-solving game, but kind of the gist of the game. It's hard to explain, but like so like you have orbs. You have orbs you can
Mm-hmm.
carry around. So you only use 2 buttons. You use the left analog stick to move around, and the A button does all the interactions, does everything. There's no enemies, there's no combat. It's pure puzzle solving, um, and like so. there are different orbs in the game, and there's different colors. So there's like the orange orb, and each orb has like different things it can do. Like so, the orange when you can carry one orb at a time on your back, and they like the orange orb will like like you can carry it and you can find like hidden like walking paths to go down. The green orb you can use to like you can go up and down certain platforms like to get up to the next level or get down a level. Um, the purple orb I don't even know how, I'm not even gonna bother try to explain that one. Then there's like a white orb that you can use and like it can like shoot different like things that can like change the environment around you. But also in every single orb you can go inside the orbs and every orb is like has its own world in it and you can actually bring orbs into other orbs and like basically the whole gist of the game is you're getting new orbs as you go. So you start off with one, then you get two, and then you get three, and you move on, so and so forth. But like you get to a certain point in each world, and you can't progress. It's kind of like a Metroidvania, I guess, in a sort of way as well, where like you can't progress, and then you gotta like maybe switch orbs around and like bring the green orb into the orange world, and like that will unlock the next area after you unlock this building, and like so on and so forth. But also it gets crazier, Gables, where you got to bring an orb into another orb and then use another orb to like then unlock the next section. Or sometimes you got to bring the green. You got to jump into the green world, and then bring the green orb into the green world with you somehow. It's fucking mind twisting craziness of like awesome puzzle solving. And I'm not a
Huh.
huge puzzle solving like puzzle guy gamer. Like these style games are the games I like that comes to puzzle solving. Not to say I like them all, but I'm definitely partial to them. Like I didn't love Somerville. I thought it was fine, but I still beat the game. Uh, Little Nightmares. I really liked the game. The second one I didn't really care for that much. Um, but like I'm definitely Typo Man was mid. I still beat it, but it was mid. But I'm a sucker for these style games. Playing Alana came out earlier this year, and I fucking adore that game. Um, but yeah, like the game is super. Like I think the puzzles is so great. And one of my favorite things this game does is that like when you go into a certain area, they'll put up like a wall or like we'll do a way to cut you off from
Mm-hmm.
going back. So when you get to like an area where you got to solve a puzzle, sometimes you play these games like any game, there'll be that part where we get stuck and like you're just wandering around like this whole environment, like backtracking all the way across. You're like, all right, what am I missing? What am I missing? And it's like you hyper fixate on the wrong thing, or like you're in the wrong, you're like way off from where you're supposed to be. This game will put up barriers or like cut you off from like being able to go back or go forward until like but
Right.
kind of like put you in like an area. And it's like all right, cool, like I'm in the right area. So that really helps out and like makes it so much easier. Like for someone like me that can like after like 5 minutes like what the fuck and like you're just like now you're like it goes past like enjoyment and like now I'm frustrated. I'm like I don't even know where the fuck I'm like am I even in the right area? Like just it's nice having that like little push like you're here now figure here's the tools now figure it out and like it's definitely like, it's probably one of the better ones games of like this where like those like aha moments like are like fucking brilliant and I love it and like I said like there's a few ones like wow, I was stumped for a long time like really stumped and I was like how the fuck was I did I figure like how was like some of them a couple of times it was by accident. Sometimes I'm like I finally figured it out. I'm like how the fuck did like I even figure that out? How the fuck did I even think of this? Um, and it's like I just blows me away. Like a game with no dialogue, no there's no like button prompts, no nothing. How they make these games and like teach you the mechanics of these games with no there's no dialogue, there's no tutorial. There's nothing. It just starts you off, and like the way they it's kind of like I was thinking. I remember that the Miyamoto interview we did talking about when he made the original Super Mario Brothers about how they basically like taught you all the mechanics of the game. And that first screen of like here comes the turtle. You can jump on the turtle. You can jump over the turtle. Here's the coins. You can jump up, hit the coins with your head. Here's a mushroom makes you bigger. You can take two hits, stuff like that. And it's like that, but obviously like gaming in 2023 is a lot more sophisticated than in 1985. So
Right.
it's just like crazy to me. Like the shit this game pulls with no dialogue, no button prompts, no nothing, and the shit that like how great of a job these games do and teaching you. It's like man, it's like how like the game testing and like I just sit there in awe of these type of games. I'm like what they had to go through to just like not only think of these things, make them work, and then also figure out how to teach us how to do it. is incredible to me.
Mhm.
So I love this game. I think it's brilliant. Like I said, it's on Game Pass. It's worth the buy. I think it's like $30. It's on Switch. It's on PlayStation. It's on Steam. So if you have any sort of gaming device whatsoever, it's on there. Um, buy it, play it, Game Pass it, whatever. It's fucking worth it. And it's also, if you are a trophy person or a achievement person, easy 1,000 achievement points. So if that's another push you need in that direction, and then you could beat the game like you could probably beat the game in like 4 to 6 hours. Probably took me 4.5, I'd say. Um, Last but not least here, Gables, I did play some more Lies of P. Um,
Mhm.
I I've talked about for a long time now. Like I respect Souls likes. I like playing Souls like games. I just don't like how difficult they can be. Like I don't like that like running your head against the wall type of like. I love like God of War is very much a style of a Souls like. Um, Star Wars
Right.
Jedi games are very much Souls like. Wolong earlier this year, I had a blast. I put like 40 plus hours in that fucking game, and I was 2 collectibles away from getting 100% in that game and getting all achievements and blah blah blah. Love that game. Um, but part of the reason like I got really into Wolong, like I liked how like fast paced the action was of a Souls like, and also I cheesed the fuck out of it where like I did so much grinding early on that I just got way over leveled, and I just like so that was like my way of like getting through this game. I was like, not only is this game fantastic, but I was like so over leveled that instead of me like the get good in you like I got good enough at the game, but like what helped me was like how I was like I got over level enough for me that I was powerful enough to actually like be able to, like it wasn't easy, don't get me wrong, but like I was at least I was over
No.
like I was high enough level like for myself that like I was able to go in on like an even playing field for my gaming skills and beat this game. And I love that game. I adore that game. I think the game is fantastic. Um, so I'm running into a problem with this game, Gables. Um,
And what's that?
so I didn't know this. So like I think it's called Ergo is like the souls in this game. You collect when you defeat enemies. As a souls like
Right.
it's more like Bloodborne. So it's a little slower. It's not it's not super slow, but it's not like as fast paced as like a Wolong. But I'm stuck in the first section. I'm like 3 hours into this game. I'm still fighting in the first fucking section because I can't beat the first fucking boss. And I'm wandering around with enough souls or Ergo, what the fuck you want to call them, to like level up 10 more times. But you can't. They max out how many levels you can go up in the first section.
Oh,
So I didn't
okay.
know that, and I've been like balancing out. Like I've been like instead of like focusing. If I would have known this, I would have focused on like my defense or my attack power or something instead of just like doing balance. Like or like I put like I think you can only level up like I think it's like 10 times, and I think I put like four. I think I put like 4 or 5 into stamina, and like this boss is not like a stamina boss at all. It's like it's more like parrying and popping a couple shots and getting out of there. And So I totally did not level properly for this character for this boss, and I am just getting my goddamn ass whooped. And what's even more frustrating is like I had all these like throwable items uh, that I used in the first attempt, and I didn't realize if you when you use them and you die, you don't get them back. So like
Mm.
I actually got like the best I did was on my first attempt because I was like kind of cheesing my way through like throwing all these like throwable items and it was like kind of like knocking out damage a little bit at a time. But I actually got like I said got pretty close to defeating them. But then I went in there with like 20 plus throwable items, and now I'm trying to go in and fight this guy. And I'm getting still doing like I'm getting like I've gotten like 3/4 of the way there. That like when I fought him the first time, I got like I'm talking like 10% left, and since then I've been getting like 3/4 of the way, like 1/3 of the way uh, regularly. But I cannot get past like you get to that last the second wave or well, I can't remember the term, but like he changes about a quarter about halfway to like 2/3 of the way through into like a different he's different now, and he just wrecks the shit out of me when we get to that part. And Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's like, man, like I actually really like this game. I like the world of this game. Like I'm interested in it. Like I think the combat is great. It's a really well made Souls like game. I just want to play more of you. But it's just so frustrating. It's like why? What is the point of this level cap? Like why? Like why are you like I don't know. It's like I want to play your fucking game. Like why are you making this harder for me? To like I get it's a hard game in general. Like I get that, but it's like man, like let me like why are you doing this? I don't know. Like I'm not trying to get to like level 50 and then go on and fight the first boss. I was just like I just ran around, I grinded a bunch. Like And I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna go in a little OP, like a little OP, and I'm gonna beat this guy and get into the next wave of the game, whatever, and so on and so forth. Like I did in Wolong, and yeah, apparently this game, for some reason, doesn't want me to do that. So it's very frustrating because I just, like I said, I actually really like playing this game. I think it's very good, and I just want to play more of it. But I can't beat the first fucking boss, Gables. So it's very frustrating. But I don't know. I'm gonna try to go back to him. And another thing that sucks is like whenever you die, you gotta like go and like refill your meat. Like there's like a meter that has like special attacks, and like it's empty if like or wherever you die at, whatever is like left of that meter, you gotta go refill it. And the way you refill it is by fighting people. So then I go and like fight a bunch of like people I've already fought a million times over again to refill the meter, so I can go back in with the full meter. I don't know. It's just very frustrating. Why are we making this so goddamn difficult? So now I'm like grinding to like try to get as many. I'm just gonna go and like fucking kill these guys over like the same dudes over and over again. To like I'm just gonna cheese my way through it. I'm gonna like try to get a million of these fucking throwable items. I'm gonna stand back and throw a bunch of items at him. That's kind of what my thing I'm gonna have to do to beat this guy because I'm not good enough to beat him on my own. So everybody's like, oh, like I looked it up. People are like, oh, you gotta get, you just gotta parry him. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. Like I don't parry people. I've never been a blocker. I just swing the axe. That's my thing. So yeah, no, it's a really good game. I just fuck man, come on. Let me just cheese my way through it, please. Um, yeah, that's all I've been playing this week, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, listening. If you like this, enjoy the show, please like, follow, subscribe. There's if you're a podcast listener anywhere else, like anywhere you listen to podcasts at, please just look for us, Drunk Nerds, Drunk-Nerds podcast, whatever. You'll find us. 5-star review, subscribe. On YouTube, like, follow, subscribe, click the bell. Facebook, Twitter, all those things. Twitch, we're on there. We live stream the podcast on Twitch. We're trying that out right now. Make sure see how that works out.
Yep.
And also, last but certainly not least, extra-life.org. Please go there, check all that out. Check it out. Follow them. They also have, they're everywhere. They have a Discord. They have a Twitch channel, a YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Go support them, sign up, tell your friends, all that. It's really important. If you do that for us, it would be great if you do that for us. But I was supposed to have Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. So until next time, everyone, thank you very much for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables, do you want to take
Yeah.
us out with the Canadian national anthem?
Oh man, I wouldn't know where to start with that.
I believe the first word is O.
Oh.
Oh, Canada. That's all I know. That's all. Anyways, bye, guys.
See ya.